So today we're tackling a giant, a literary monument. We're talking about Victor Hugo's Les Misérables. Now, this is a book that's as massive as it is famous, right? And what we're going to do here is really get to the heart of why this masterpiece, written all the way back in 1862, still feels, well, so incredibly relevant today. All right, so let's just jump right in with the big question. I mean, how does a book that's, 1,500 pages long, super dense, written over 150 years ago, how on earth did that become one of the most beloved stories in the entire world? Well, the answer, really, it all comes down to its powerful exploration of human dignity, especially when you're facing a world that is just fundamentally unfair. And, this whole epic story, it all starts with one man. One of the most unforgettable characters in all of literature, really, Jean Valjean. His journey, it's like the spine of the entire book. He is this profound symbol of what it means to be totally remade. So, where do we start with him? Well, our story kicks off with a pretty staggering number, 19. 19 years. That is how long Jean Valjean was in prison. Just think about that. Nearly 2 whole decades of your life just gone. And you have to ask, for what? Yeah, you're not gonna believe it. It was for stealing a single loaf of bread. That's it. One loaf of bread to feed his starving sister's kid. And with that one, just absolutely shocking detail, Victor Hugo immediately sets up the main theme of the whole book, this crushing injustice of a society that punishes being poor way more harshly than it punishes actual crime. So Valjean, he gets out of prison. He's physically free, yeah, but inside he's completely broken. So, how does a guy like that, branded a criminal for life, ever find his way back? Well, for Valjean, this journey to redemption, it doesn't start with a law or a rule. Nope, it starts with a truly radical act of mercy. See, he steals some silver from this incredibly kind bishop, Bishop Myriel. But the bishop, he doesn't turn him in. Instead, he forgives him. He actually gives him more silver and tells him, use this, become an honest man. And that one moment, it just changes everything. But here's the thing, Valjean's new life, it's always under threat. His past just won't let him go. And that past, it's basically personified by one single relentless man. And this chase leads us straight to the core conflict of the whole novel, this epic battle between two totally opposing worldviews. And right here, you can see that tension laid out perfectly. On one side, you've got Inspector Javert. This is a guy who sees the world in pure black and white, no gray areas. For him, the law is absolute. If you're a criminal once, you're a criminal forever. End of story. But on the other side, you have Valjean, and he becomes the embodiment of mercy, of moral complexity, of the idea that, you know what, sometimes humanity has to come before the rigid rules. And really, what Hugo is doing with this lifelong cat-and-mouse game, he's asking us a really fundamental question. He's asking, can goodness survive in a world that seems to reward cruelty, right? In a system that feels like it's designed to crush the most vulnerable people, can a person's inner goodness actually last? I mean, that's the question that pushes this entire story forward. Okay, but here's the thing. This isn't just Jean Valjean's story, not by a long shot. What Hugo does is he zooms the camera way out to show us that Valjean's struggle is really just a reflection of an entire society that's suffering. We're talking poverty, hypocrisy, injustice. He's painting this huge, vast portrait of what he calls the miserable. And man, nowhere is this more absolutely heartbreaking than in the story of Fantine. She starts out as this young, hopeful factory worker, and she's just abandoned and exploited at every single turn. Her story, her downward spiral, it's just this brutal takedown of a society that has zero safety net. It shows you the devastating, real human cost of all that hypocrisy. And why does she suffer so much? It's all for her daughter, Cosette, who gets left with these awful, cruel people, the Thénardies. So when Valjean comes along and rescues Cosette, wow, that is such a pivotal moment. See, he's not just saving a kid, he's fulfilling that promise he made to the bishop all those years ago. He's proving that one single act of kindness can literally ripple outwards and heal these incredibly deep wounds. Cosette, she becomes a living, breathing symbol of hope. So while all this intense personal drama is happening, there's this powerful current of political unrest just bubbling under the surface. And that's when we meet this whole generation of young students. They're dreamers, They truly believe a better France is possible.
You've got guys like Marius, the passionate idealist, and then Enjolras, the hardcore revolutionary leader. Together, they represent this burning hope for a brand new and much more just society.
And this dream of a new France, it all explodes at the historical June Rebellion of 1832. The barricades in the streets of Paris, they become this incredible stage where every theme in the novel just collides. It's a place of unbelievable heroism, of sacrifice, of love, and of deep, deep tragedy. You get to see all that fiery, youthful idealism just smash right up against the brutal reality of the state.
Okay, so we've got these epic personal stories, we've got this huge historical drama, but look, if you've ever actually tried to read this book, you know there's even more going on. A lot more. Victor Hugo's goal was way bigger than just telling a good story. He was trying to make an argument.
And that kind of reframes how we have to think about the book's structure. Because Hugo, he's famous for just pausing the plot for chapters at a time to talk about stuff that seems totally random. People call them digressions, right? But here's the secret. They're not just interruptions. For Hugo, they are the entire point.
It's like he's using the novel as his own personal classroom. He's giving us these super detailed lessons on, well, everything. The architecture of the Paris sewers, the secret life inside a convent, the military tactics at the Battle of Waterloo, the philosophical nature of crime itself. I mean, the list goes on. And you might ask, why? Well, because he insists that if you really want to understand why these characters are so miserable, you first have to understand the deep, complex, often invisible systems that created their world in the first place.
And all of this, all these deep dives, they build to Hugo's central argument, his thesis. He's arguing that misery, Les Misérables, it's not an accident. It's not just bad luck. No, it is a product of things we create. Flawed laws, social neglect, powerful historical forces. And, he says, if we created it, well, then we have a moral responsibility to fix it. And that really brings us to the book's most profound, most enduring message. What Hugo shows us is that in a world that is just shot through with injustice, true heroism, it's not found on some grand battlefield or in a king's court. No, it's found in the quiet, everyday, incredibly difficult choices. It's found in the compassion of a bishop, the sacrifice of a mother, and the incredible moral courage of a man who, against all odds, just keeps choosing to be good, again and again and again. Which, it leaves us with one final pretty timeless question. Victor Hugo himself said that as long as problems like ignorance, poverty, and injustice exist in the world, a book like his will never be useless. So, when you look around at the world today, you really have to ask yourself, right? Has this story ever truly ended? Or maybe, are we still living inside of